Coaches, we've got a phenomenal call. We have the woman who's got the largest business in all of Team Beachbody here today. She's a veteran. She's got, that makes it sound so grisly, a veteran. She has done so many marvelous things with this business and has grown and has learned so much, and we are going to end the year with her sharing some of her insights and how to continue to grow a business. But we are into the year 363 days, and we are saving what I would consider to be the best for last. Of course, this is the coach, Christine Dwyer, superstar two-diamond coach. She is been in the business for almost 7 years, I believe. She started in May of 2008. She has been successful with consecutive months in Success Club. She's been an Elite 10 coach. She's been on our coach advisory board. She's been a top producer. She's been an elite coach in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13. The list we haven't announced 14 yet, but the list just goes on and on. And again, like I said, one of the largest businesses in all of Beachbody, one of the most successful, if not the most successful business in all of Beachbody, a respected leader, tremendous insights. We're absolutely thrilled to have on the call with us this morning Superstar Diamond 2 coach, Christine Dwyer. Christine.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And I'm honored, honestly, to be able to end the year with all of you coaches.
Well, you know what? We're just tickled that you're on the call with us because we know that you've got a lot of things going with family this time of the season, and not to mention your Beachbody business, which is huge. So let's jump in, and I'm going to try and minimize anything I say and just toss as much time over to you. But people know of you. If they don't know you, but because you have this phenomenal reputation out there. But, they probably don't know how you came into the business. So before you jump in, would you just take a moment and kind of share, here's how you got started with Beachbody?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's actually what I'm going to be talking about is knowing of someone. But really, my story started almost 7 years ago, so 6.5 years ago. And I actually was presented being a coach well before, about a year before I actually decided to become a coach. So for those of you who share the business with someone and you immediately get upset that they say no, it's usually not right now, and it's mostly because they need to stalk you a little bit more to see what's going on before they actually ask again. And I was that person. I didn't decide to do this right away. But what I was doing at that time, I was living in Rochester, New York, and I was teaching group fitness. I was managing and working for Chalene Johnson's company at the time, Powder Blue Productions, managing all the presenters that worked for her and training them. And my husband at the time, I don't know if he was laid off. I know when I've been with him, he's been laid off twice. He's in the IT business, so if anybody knows that industry, it goes in and out. But we were really just living the average life, if you will. We had goals. We wanted to have a family, but we never really knew that there could be anything bigger, different than, him making $100,000 a year and me making $30,000 a year. That's all we really thought it was going to be. I was in a great job. I loved fitness. But when I finally looked back at being a coach, I just realized I constantly was recommending TurboJam, and I was constantly selling those hand-weighted gloves to people that would take my classes, and I was not getting a dime for it. And so I said, wait a minute, let me look back at this thing and see what it's about. And honestly, so when I started, I didn't really know the huge income potential. I didn't really understand team bonus or residual income or any of that. I'd never done network marketing, if you call it network marketing, because I think this is more relationship marketing. I just knew what I was doing was I want to help more people than the people that I was coming across physically every day. And so that's why I wanted to really kind of do it more online. And weirdly enough, so this was 6.5 years ago, because I didn't know what to do to build a business, what I ended up doing and what I had all of my team doing that signed up with me is we were running these 10-day challenge groups. So this was way back then. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we knew that, well, people might come to us because they want us to help them to lose weight and work out. So let's just put together a little 10-day plan and everybody follow it. And we would host these home parties and launch them. And that's how it started to roll. And, of course, you have to study more and learn more, but I really just dove deep into sucking in any webinar that you guys put out, learning from past coaches that were there before me, and really just trying to figure this out as I went. And, of course, I hired I hired some consultants to kind of help me because I really wanted to just be the best leader for my team as possible. That's, in a nutshell, how I started. And I don't know you want me to go any further, but, in the course of the time doing it, my husband actually wanted nothing to do with this business because he said, that's your fitness thing. He didn't want to do anything with it. And then finally, after 2.5 years of me doing this, and he accidentally saw my bank statement that he didn't know I had I had a bank statement that was pretty hefty. He was considering moving to Mexico by himself or figure out what this business was about. So that's why he joined me in this business. And later, of course, we moved down here to Dallas, Texas. And, I can share more of my story on that side of things later, but I know we want to get into the meat of the call.
Well, let's do that. I appreciate you sharing that, though, because I think it's interesting for people to know that, everybody has a beginning. You just don't land at a superstar, two-diamond coach, type of a thing. But I think one of the things you hit on here was, one, you had this great passion, and you brought a passion and a discipline for learning. And it's like you said, you just sucked in everything you could learn. And that's so fundamental to success. Now, looking back now, you've had 6.5, 7 years of this learning, and you continue to reinvent and add to who you are. Let's get into the meat of this topic a little bit. You introduced it, but it's kind of knowing of people versus knowing people and creating that relatability. I know you want to share some thoughts on that today, so I'll toss it to you.
Yeah, thanks. I really, this year, and I'm going to share something that, many people may not expect, especially coming from someone like myself who's a leader, and, some people will know certain leaders and expect that their business is actually really easy for them, that people just run to them to sign up with them as coaches, and that they get Success Club points off the charts. That's usually a perception that a lot of people will have of certain people in the industry and in this business. And that's me, and I'm very honest, and I really personally want my coaches to know that I'm right there in the trenches with them. I tell them when I'm having a hard month. For instance, one month, a couple months ago, it was getting down to the bitter end of the month, and I was not getting the Success Club points minimally that I always look to achieve. And I told them nothing was happening, and then I littered out a huge list of what I was doing, working like a dog. And I actually put a picture of my dog when it was a puppy laying on my computer because that's what I was doing. My month was halfway done, and I had 0 Success Club points and nothing in the hopper, and I was freaking out. And so I worked my butt off to try to show that it's not always easy, that you constantly have to keep figuring out how to, put yourself out there and get more of a return. But to really kind of bring it down into what we're talking about is that it is a challenge that as you become a seasoned coach, as you created a level of success in any area of your life, there can create some levels of problems. And this past year has been one of the hardest years for me in terms of building my own personal business. I have a lot of amazing coaches who are seriously, insanely doing awesome. Their teams are growing so well. I mean, that there's a lot of my personally sponsored coaches who, Janelle Summers is one of my coaches, and she's a superstar Diamond 3. She doesn't need me to hold her hand. She's running her own team that you have to let certain birds fly the coop, and you constantly are working with new birds. And I have a lot of people who are up and coming and really doing great with their business. But for me personally this year, I have sponsored 50% less the amount of people than I did the last year and maybe even the year before, as well as more months than I would like were a lot harder for me to achieve my minimum of Success Club points per month. And that really was a wake-up call for me. So really what I was really focusing on this year is trying to figure out why. What am I missing? And, of course, I'm watching all of the people who are on the leaderboards trying to figure out what are they doing, and constantly reading the Facebook private group that we have for top coaches, and going to different people's YouTubes and listening to all of their information that they're putting out, and just trying to constantly figure out what to do. How can I run a Facebook ad better? How can I get an email funnel system better? How can I get my blog to be seen? I just kept trying to figure out those things, and that was the wrong area to be focusing on. And I know, because of course I've been training so many coaches for so many years, not just in this business, but for instance when I would just train the presenters to become public speakers. They always want to just be told what to do because we want to have something to grab onto so we can feel a level of success. And that is an area that if you continue to teach what to do, you're missing a strong area. And that's where I fell into this area this past year where I'm always that person that's the how-to girl. I'm always the person that wants to figure it out, condense it down, and teach people so that they can just get it done and learn it and be successful. I really like doing that. I mean, it's my nature. I can't not do that. I always will. But it does create a level of problems. And where I started focusing this year was I started to attend many different conferences from different motivational speakers and trainers out there. And throughout them, I was learning systems. I kept learning systems of how to do more and better. And I kept doing that, and it wasn't working. I'm like, what is the problem? So I continued to take more conferences, and finally I lined up with one person at a conference, and it really just smacked me against the head that people don't know me. People don't know who I am. I mean, yeah, so what? Every so often on a Facebook post, I'll put a little post of a personal message, that someone will see, but Facebook moves so fast. Like, for instance, an example is I know that every so often when I put up something that's fitness related, either if it's a little mini workout video that I'll put up or a picture, sometimes I'll put out there, my age because, I'm 42 years old, or I'll say, I have my abs back after having 2 C-sections. And it's funny because every time I say that, no matter what the time span has been, I always get someone coming back to me saying, I didn't know you had C-sections. I relate so much more now to you. And I was like, in my head going, well, I've said it so many times, but they don't see it all. And that was one big area that just even talking with another top coach, Andrea Crowder, her and I have been talking a lot more recently, obviously, since we're getting to know each other better. And she said to me that initially when she started working with me, she knew of me. She knew she can expect I will achieve, but she didn't really know me. And she had a hard time connecting with me for that reason. And now that, we've talked more off, in a personal level, she says she now knows me. She feels like more comfortable. Of course, she knows me now as a person. And that's just because we had the opportunity to have those off conversations. That's a problem, though, because I can't have those conversations with everyone. And this is what I'm realizing, not just for my own self, but for my own coaches. So I have a lot of new coaches that are coming in, and they're constantly trying to figure out, what can I do? Just tell me what to do, and I will do it. Tell me exactly the steps to do it. And I will tell them that because obviously it's the steps, but it's really about that application and that person coming out and really just being a humble person and putting themselves out there and letting people connect with that, letting people connect with a common thread, and being able to do that more so than not. And so I continued into these conferences, and really, honestly, it wasn't really until November when there's 2 strong areas that just, are blatant to me as to why was this year so much harder for me. And I truly, honestly believe, not just for my own personal self, because it doesn't matter that I've been a coach for 6.5 years. These 2 areas are critical for any coach. If you're starting brand new, or if you've been in it for a long time and you feel like you're hitting a wall or you're burned out or you're just tired of working so hard. Because honestly, that happens. I have those calls with my coaches all the time, and in my mind, I'm thinking, they've been a coach for 6 years already now. I mean, what's going to put a fire in their belly to want to move past 2-star diamond? What? They've been a coach for 6 years now. And this is what I have to constantly keep thinking, and it really comes down to these 2 areas that if we as coaches in general can really focus on, one, being that I already talked about, is really putting yourself out there, that common thread, that story that people can connect with, not just that story, different stories. And I follow, this is the one person that I really strongly connect with, and his name is Bo Eason. Bo Eason is ridiculously amazing. He's very strong and confident. He's an ex-NFL player, but he's now a professional speaker. I connect well with him because his energy is just so strong and powerful. But the reason why I connect with him is because he decides to be the best in what he decides to be the best in. And in my mind, that's how I think. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best in it, no matter if it's going to take me a week or 10 years to do it. I'm going to be the best in it. And I immediately was driven to him. And that's where I got that wake-up call with people just don't know me. They don't know what I've come through. They don't know the struggles that I've had. They think that, oh, she's just going to achieve in this. And it's the same goes for my own perception with other coaches. There's many coaches where we laugh about it now because we have this perception of each other. And not until we were able to be locked away on an island in Bora Bora that we actually spent a lot of time with each other, we realized, oh my gosh, you are just like me. You are just like me, not wanting to go out at night, sitting on the couch with bedhead, watching like TV or something. Like totally the same. And it connected us. And it was only because we were able to share small stories. So that's one area. And I'm going to give some kind of lessons if you want to take them from me to kind of help you for the next year to be able to fix that. The other big area that I found that I was missing this past year is the level of newness, the level of excitement, the level of putting myself back in the beginning. So being a coach, especially one that has created a level of success, you really have to take on a role of leadership and a role of being that expert and a lot of a teacher role. But that then easily becomes very surface. And that then, again, really creates a level where people have that hard time connecting with you. But for you personally, that makes you become complacent in an area that is really strong. It matters. Because if you think about it, think about that new person who is deciding now, they've been watching this opportunity now for 6 months or more. They've been looking at this, and they finally decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm nervous about it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm really scared, but I'm going to sign up and do it. And they sign up. And what they get in return is, great, I'm glad you're a part of this. Here's what we're going to have you do. Do these steps, do this homework. We're going to do a call. We're going to get you going, get on a challenge group. We're going to do all this work activity and get you started. That's typical. I know, because that's typically what I do a lot of as well. There's a level of excitement that we're missing there, to putting ourselves back in that feeling of, I know how you feel. And that's what I've been missing. Not so much just with new coaches, but veteran coaches as well. I know how you feel. I know what you may be struggling with and how I've been able to overcome that. And being excited for that person, that they see an opportunity and that you are excited for it and really kind of let them express it and talk about it and really go back and forth with it. I've been too quick. I've been too quick in my response. And that's because success builds complacency in that. I'm not saying I'm complacent about, of course, building my business and, of course, sponsoring and getting Success Club, of course. I still do that. But there's a level of your business where you just start to become on automation. And it's one of the big tips I give a lot of my coaches is to create a journal. And I actually have my challengers do this as well, to create a journal. Because as things are going great, I want you to record every day what's going on. And then when you start to see a pattern where things aren't going as you expect, you have to look back at the activity that you were doing that really shows level of success. And are you still doing that activity? Are you still responding the same way? Are you still putting yourself out there the same way? And usually something fell off the wagon. Something fell off. And that's usually where it comes down to. So really kind of to bring it back together, that's what I was really realizing. And I honestly, as much, I'm a person that feels that a successful person is always a student. You can never stick a fork in me because I'm never done. I will never know this business. I'm always trying to be better, be a better person, be a better role model, be a better leader, and to be able to help more people. And with that, I truly believe these two areas of focus for the new year is going to make a huge difference, not in my only business, but in my coaches and hopefully your business as well. So when I look at, when I'm trying to figure out how am I able to get myself out there, I have to look at, okay, these are the certain things that I'm really going to focus on, some of the lessons that I'm learning of what am I going to apply for this next year. So if this makes sense to you, maybe you might write this down and it might ring a bell for you. But what I'm really going to do is really start to write down stories I remember. So it comes down to just little stories. And one that's just really kind of, it hurts me because not a lot of people know about the struggles that I've gone through. But, I could cry talking about it, but I really struggle with my weight. And growing up, I can remember trying to fit in so hard with the cool kids, the rich girls, and everyone else. And I wasn't that girl. I was dead drop poor, living in a very dilapidated house. And I remember so desperately wanting to figure out how to get thin. And I didn't know. I didn't know how to eat well. I didn't have a mother role model. My mom didn't live there. My sisters were just trying to fend for their own selves, many of them living in their cars. It was a really hard time. I didn't have a role model to look up to. And even to the story that sticks out, someone could relate to this story because I can remember thinking that the only way to lose weight was to throw it up. And I remember my dad force-feeding me because every so often, rare time, my dad would make dinner. And if I didn't eat it, I'd be in really bad trouble. And I remember he made spaghetti. And that was so scary to me because it was carbs. And I remember forcing myself to eat it. And I quickly left the house, and I remember running up to the railroad tracks. And I threw it up because I didn't know how else to fix the situation. And those little stories, as strong as that is, can mean something to someone else. And I've been holding all these little stories in because I didn't think that they mattered. All those little stories. So it's not that you have to have your one big impact story that lives out there. What you need is to really just jot down all these strong areas that stick out in your mind that really make you feel like that was me. And I've learned from that, and it's made some impact. Because now when you have those conversations with people, you're going to pull these stories out of the trunk that's going to relate with someone so that they can relate to you. Every time you have a conversation with someone, I hopefully hope that you will not just listen to what they say and say, awesome, that's so great, but to really respond back, interject a personal connection of how it relates with you, and come back to them. And I swear that's going to help build more connectivity as well. That other thing that I'm really going to be focusing on, so another step that I'm going to be really focusing on is just remembering how I felt when I started. I know I was super excited, and I was really jazzed to really figure this out, but I didn't know what to do. So I just want to remember that I need to be patient. I need to over-communicate and really give things out in more detail to people so that I'm not leaving anything for question, and I'm not making them feel like they're bothering me, asking me for a question. So I'm going to over-communicate. I'm going to create more patience, and the way I'm going to do this is by keeping a motto written down. If I even have to just write those simple words down, be excited, be patient, over-communicate, make it simple. If I just have to have those on a bullet point on a whiteboard, that every time before I write an email back to someone or I get on a call with someone, I look at them and I put myself in the right frame of mind. That's my goal, to really make a difference. The other one, when you are responding, is you don't need to respond right away. So I know a lot of times many of us get a lot of emails or text messages and we just want to respond and be able to get that message done or hurry up and get that person moving on to the next step. But the problem also comes down to is when you are responding in a time where you're not ready to actually put thought into your message may come off the wrong way. So sometimes you might need to craft your message, reread them, but some of the things that might help you put in a sense of how would this person be feeling? Are they excited? Are they nervous? Are they overwhelmed right now? Is to actually smile while you're writing or put good music on, but to start to put yourself in a better mood so that when you are responding, you're actually responding back in a way that makes them feel connected and comforted and in control with you. The other thing that, as I finish, the last thing that I'm really going to be helping myself and as well as hopefully other coaches are going to do too, is to make sure that you have a clear offer and have your story out there living. So I don't personally have any parts of my story really out there living. What I have out there is teaching people how to do stuff on video all the time. But what I don't have out there is a personal side of me, just living out there to tell my story. And to be able to bring back up every so often on my Facebook or on a blog or just to tweet out, I don't have that ability because I don't have it out there. I need to make it live out there, and you need to bring it up every so often so people know, oh, here's that person, so they understand and get to know you a little bit more. But it doesn't need to be extravagant, and I know some people are really nervous about doing video. Even just putting pictures, just writing up a blog, just something simple so that it's out there and you have that connection. And you don't need to tell one story. They could be multiple mini stories because those mini stories are going to connect with different people and just being able to help them identify with you. But really what it comes down to is that you just have to really be honest with yourself as a new coach. So even if you're a brand new coach, it doesn't make a difference. Again, I've been doing this for so long, but even as a brand new coach, the biggest and the strongest thing that you can do as you get going in the business, of course, is the 3 basic principles for the vital behaviors for the company, but is to really just put yourself out there honestly and let people know where you are and what your reality is. And are you overcoming it, or if you've overcome it? Because when you can share more struggle with people and the way of you need them to support you for overcoming it, or if you're willing to share how you've been able to overcome it, they're going to connect more with you. And that's something that anyone can do, no matter if you're just signing up as a coach right now. Always do the basics, but really think about putting yourself out there, those mini stories, and having that common thread and connecting with people. And honestly, I'm hoping as I get rolling in the new year that this is going to make a big difference for myself. That's really what I'm going to be focusing on, is just really making myself more real and more connected for more people.
Christine, outstanding. I've taken a page full of notes, and then I started to organize them and write over more as you continued to talk. But we're running out of time here. But I was fortunate enough to be there in Bora Bora that night when stories were told, and I will never forget the story you told. And to me, I look at all of the success that you've been able to create and achieve through the fact that you're never done, so don't stick a fork in you. I picked up on that piece. But all of that success, I go back to that moment, and part of what you shared that night, a little bit of what you shared here, and I go, here's who Christine is. Here's why she's been able to do what she's been able to do, and understanding you better and what drives you and helps you become who you are. And I think you've shared a powerful example today of relatability. And I think here we have it from the coach with the largest organization in the business, kind of going back to those roots, if you will, those fundamentals, and saying, this is who you need to be if you're going to be successful and relatable. Again, people don't buy what we sell, they buy who we are. That's where the relationships are formed. And maybe just a quick summation, and you can add, and I've got one last question to ask, but you talked about the powers of the stories, and they don't have to be extravagant, but they need to share, who you are, to over-communicate, and to be patient in your communication. Just think before you write, kind of aim before you shoot, right? But be excited, be patient, over-communicate, don't respond right away, have a clear offer, and then keep your story alive, keep it out there where people know who you are. And I think the key word for me on that is keep it live. You keep it real. So, and there were 100 other things that you said that I wish I could share, but I think maybe that captures the essence. So I want to give you a chance just to wrap up here, but each of us, there's kind of a before and after. Sometimes they're physical, and even along with the physical, there's the emotional, there's the relationships, there's the financial. As you look at your life before and after, not the Beachbody's after now, but as you look at your life right now, kind of what's it done for you and John and your family?
This question gets asked a lot, and it can take a different answer and a different approach to different, in different ways. But, really what sticks out in my mind right now as I look, again, it's been 6.5 years of building this organization and helping other people create success. And there's, of course, that feeling is just amazing. I don't know any better feeling than helping another person have success one way or another. That's what's in my gut. But when I look at what my priority is and why do I do what I do, and why when my husband asks me, when are you going to retire, because he, of course, the financial guy does things, I said, who retires? I'm not going to retire. When I look at why am I doing this, I have to look at those 2 kids that I have. And so my husband and I'm so emotional today. Jeez Louise. My husband and I were driving to my kids' school on Friday, and we had to go in the morning, and we were there all morning, and then we had to come right back quick for my sons because we were doing the holiday parties in the school. And so I said to him, it was funny because I just looked at him, I said, don't you, thank so much that we have Beachbody, because we wouldn't be able to go to the school all day. You would be driving off in a snowstorm and be gone for 10 hours today, and miss all of this if we didn't decide to do coaching. And I remember just saying that to him the other day. But just even the simple little joys of the holiday is coming up right now, and getting them the gifts that, they ask for. And, of course, I try to teach them, about being appreciative and that they don't get everything in life, but to work hard for it. But just even the simple fact, when I said to my husband, I said, we need to get them something big, because we've got all these little tiny Skylander toys under the tree. That's nothing. They're going to think they got nothing. And so we decided just last minute to go get them a trampoline to put in the backyard. And a trampoline is something that I wouldn't just be able to go get, but that is going to be a ridiculous gift that they are going to be so excited for. And, of course, I am too, just so I can practice my cheerleading jumps all over again. But seriously, just to willy-nilly go get a trampoline because I just wanted to make my kids' Christmas to be amazing. That's what I'm doing this for, and that's what's inspired me to keep going at it.
Well, Christine, I appreciate you being willing to keep this call live and real, and the emotion attached to it adds just all the more, and it's real. Let me just say, one, I appreciate you being so open. I appreciate your leadership. I know you probably do feel this, but you inspire so many, literally tens of thousands of people to say, man, I want to be able to do just a small part of what she's done. And your thirst and your passion to continue to learn, to grow yourself, to develop yourself and get better, spreads in your organization and spreads through Beachbody, and that's just part of a cultural thing that we're so grateful for. So thank you for your leadership. Thanks for being willing to take time out of a crazy, hectic, season to end our year just in the best way ever. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and good luck, coaches. Make it your year. Go out there and share yourself.